As New Orleans prepares for Mardi Gras, police come across a crime scene that doesn't make sense.
This particular case would be bizarre in any neighborhood.
A young mother is dead under mystifying circumstances.
She was running towards the living room.
But can Dr. Henry Lee put the pieces together and solve a murder that has baffled police for years?
Two defendants gave almost identical story, but the crime scene says a different thing.
Sheriff's detectives were investigating the murder of Janet Myers. Two men were in the house when she died, her husband Carrie and his best friend Bill. Both men had knife wounds. Carrie also had a broken arm from being hit, according to Carrie, with the same baseball bat that Bill Fontenelle used to kill Janet. Police arrested Fontenelle for murder. Dr. Lee found trails of minute blood spatter on the walls, floor, and furniture winding from room to room. This was the first step in reconstructing the crime scene. The murder weapon seemed obvious. The blood-stained baseball bat found against the sofa in the family room. Yet Janet's body was found in the living room. Dr. Lee also saw other puzzling trace evidence in the kitchen, foyer, and hallway. The physical evidence at the house may have been complex, but just as baffling were the different accounts given by the injured husband, Carrie Myers, and his friend, Bill Fontenelle, where each man accused the other of attacking first. Back at Henry Lee's lab in Connecticut, there was a dramatic turning point in the case. When Dr. Lee examined the clothes Myers and Fontenelle had been wearing, he saw something no one else had noticed.
So why don't you start writing?
Okay.
There were some obvious blood smears on Carrie's gray slacks and Bill's blue jeans, which could have happened during the fight. But under microscopic examination, Dr. Lee also discovered blood spatters on both pair of pants. A finding that would change the course of the investigation.
And we grouped those blood stamps. We found genotype on both Meyer and Fontenelle's clothing.
Both men claimed they hadn't seen Janet alive that night, but that's not what the evidence showed.
If Janet already passed away, in fact, we shouldn't see medium velocity blood spatter. Medium velocity blood spatter have to have a force impact a liquid blood and project on a surface. That alone tells me two of them was close or next to a blood source, liquid blood source, and genotype.
Dr. Lee had found blood traces that looked bad for both men. Dr. Lee determined that Janet Myers died in her living room, but elsewhere he discovered signs that the murder did not begin there.
Blood spatter. Yeah, that's a lot of blood spatter.
The trail of blood allowed Dr. Lee to reconstruct the scene that night, not as described by Carrie Myers or Bill Fontenelle, but by letting the trace evidence itself tell the story.
That afternoon, when Meyer walked into the house, saw Janet with a laundry basket, they start verbally arguing. That argument become physical. He probably hit Janet, and Janet ran into the bedroom, dropped the basket, and during that time, the boy was trying to hold in the mother, and Meyer accidentally hit the son. Meanwhile, Janet started running towards the family room. At this point, more likely Janet picked up an ashtray, tried to defend herself, and hit Meyer on the head. And Meyer started fighting with her, and at this point took up the bat, started beating her up, and Janet started running through the hallway. At this point, Fontenelle more likely walked in. Meyer hit Janet, caused all those blood spatter, medium velocity impact spatter on the wall. She more likely this position and coming down. Fontenelle, meanwhile, walk next to her, and that's why caused a lot of blood spatter on Fontenelle's clothing and more hitting cause a lot of splash and blood project onto the wall because it's liquid and accumulation of liquid blood start running down. We see a bloody handprint, a left hand. Also have some finger mark, looks like a right hand, like she tried to holding herself against the wall. So two of them walk into the family room and start talking about what they're going to do. They place the baseball bat next to the sofa. They have to do something. They have to stage something. So they come up with a plan. Fontenelle will use the bat, hit the Meyer. Meyer will get the knife and stabbing him. Because the stabbing is pretty shallow. If, in fact, two of them struggle really stabbing, we should have a deeper stab. In addition, the story they tell, when he walk in, the first shot break his arm. It's almost impossible to pick up the knife. After he stab Fontenelle walk out of that's why we see this blood trail and get out of the door.
Sheriff's investigators never examined the murder weapon for fingerprints. By the time Dr. Lee received the bat in his lab, many people had handled it, but there were other clues to show who might have wielded it the night of the murder. The location of the cast-off bloodstains on the wall indicated where Janet's killer must have stood and which hand he used to swing the bat.
You're going to see the pattern. That's a forward spatter pattern.
In order to get that alignment, to see the spatter and that forward projection of that cast-off, that was a left-handed person who's swinging. As Dr. Lee did the analysis of the bloodstain evidence, there was a very clear left-handed cast-off pattern on the back of Kerry Meyer's shirt.
And Kerry Myers, unlike Bill Fontenelle, was left-handed. The jury was first to announce its verdict. They found Bill Fontenelle guilty of manslaughter, which carried an automatic 21-year sentence. The judge then rendered his decision on Kerry Myers, guilty of murder in the second degree. Myers was sentenced to life without parole.
When I look at the Janet's picture, I can't stop thinking. A beautiful family, destroyed just by the temper, by some confrontation, some maybe minor differences. Why we don't learn from the history